Oh my gosh, everyone, hello. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're intrigued by the title, as of right now, I've decided it's going to be called Twin Flame Spiritual Journey. We have a lot to unpack. I'm just estimating this video is going to be long. So, just grab a popcorn, some chips, and let's get into it. So I just came out of the shower. I worked out earlier today. Look how long my hair is, you guys. Look how long. She's so long. Like, look. Oh my gosh. Anyways, if you're curious to see what I do, I'm going to link in the description. It's an old self-care video I made a while ago. It definitely needs an update. But if you're curious how I get my hair to be this long, then if I were you, I would watch it. So, I gotta write this down, otherwise I won't do it, and I'm gonna sound like a liar. So first of all, before I get into it, let me actually tell you guys what inspired me to do this. Like, I'm literally beaming with like joy. Like, not to brag, but I'm a bit of a big deal. So basically I'm a part of this like masterclass. It's like mentorship, but it's in the class setting, like where there's other people. I'm assuming most of y'all are watching. Hi, hello, I love you guys. So basically, basically my mentor, Tawny, hi. Like, we were having this like group discussion, or it wasn't quite, it was like a Zoom call, and in the video, in the live class, I just suddenly got this inspiration, because we've been talking a lot about authenticity, what lights you up, what do you want to talk about, what's your experience, what's your journey, what kind of content do you want to film. And to be honest, I've been struggling with this past couple of like weeks, because I've been sitting here like wondering, like, do I really want to do what I claim I want to do, right? Like, do I really want to be this healer? Do I really want to support people in the ways that I claim to? Because I've been like kind of reaching this like block, this pressure, where I feel like I've been kind of forcing myself to show up in this space, and also at the same time that I show up in this space, I've been feeling kind of unappreciated, or like kind of like just slept on, for the services and for the things I have to offer this world. And you know what? I think I was just approaching it the wrong way. It's not that, what I want to do, which by the way is radical as fuck. Self-love. Do you have any idea, child, how many people I had to block this year? Probably the number is close to the 30s. People that I know, like people I grew up with, like people that I went to church with. Like, I'm telling you, like, you guys, like, I blocked a whole bunch of people. And for what? For me. Because that's where I'm at in my journey, where I realize, like, oh, these people really, I'm sure they mean well, but they need to fucking go. They need to go. They was like, what's the word? Bumming on my good vibes. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, it's like they want to, anyway. You know what? I'm not even here to talk about that, because this doesn't directly relate to this twin flame journey. So yeah, once upon a time, I met someone who I thought was my twin flame. We are 2 years now into this journey, supposedly, if this was my true twin flame, right? We are 2 years into the journey. I've known this man for 2 years. That's a long time for me, because I'm 22. I'm not good at math. I was going to try to be like, that's like 50% of my life. No, it wasn't. But it was a huge fucking chunk. Like, okay. And if you're watching this, you're probably somebody in you had a similar experience where you must have met somebody. Because if you know what the term twin flame is, people don't know about it unless they've been through it. That's what I noticed, from my experience. People don't know about what twin flames are unless they have gone through the experience of meeting a twin flame. And what you will find with these people is the relationship is just dysfunctional. There is no relationship. It's entirely in your head. Or, you know, maybe there is, you know, maybe for some people, right, you may have had a deeper connection with your supposed twin flame. But girl, it didn't last long. Whatever it is unhealthy. There's a reason why it's called a journey, right? Because it's like you go through your ups and lows and your highs and lows. And yes, all relationships do require an influx of like lows and highs, and right. But when you are dealing with somebody who is chemically unbalanced, or if you're dealing with someone who's emotionally unbalanced, then it's going to be extreme either way, and that is unhealthy to somebody who is trying to improve their mental health. If you are trying to live in a healthy connection, okay, so before we actually get into what because I may or may not revisit this rant later, let's just get into how this all began for me. Let me talk about my specific experience instead of trying to talk about other people's experiences and trying to relate it to mine. Let me just tell you what happened to me. And if you find yourself resonating with what I'm saying, then consider my message here, okay? Which is, you deserve better. That's the message. A long story short, you deserve better. And I'm here to debunk a few things, okay? So I'm not the first spiritualist who doesn't really believe in twin flames. Well, that might not be the last, but let's grab the handy dandy flashcards. So, because essentially this whole video is trying to explain from my personal experience why I don't believe in twin flames. So it all started, like, how far do I go back? Let's just, okay, actually, I kind of want to like info dump about myself here, so you guys can get to know the woman in front of the camera, right? So you can understand better about how all these experiences affected me, okay? So let's start from, let me just give you a tiny little glimpse into my childhood. So I grew up in a dysfunctional family where we had, oh my gosh, you know how there's like 7 toxic family dynamics, like, you know what, actually this is another video I want to link 7 toxic. So basically the video that is in the description below, and if I can figure out a way of copy and pasting the link so you can just like click on it through the little tab thing that might have just popped up for you guys, the video talks about 7 classic toxic families, and the dynamic I grew up in was like a combination of all of them, okay? Like in some aspects, like, so mix it all together and you know you get the best of both worlds, except it went terribly wrong. So basically, that's, and I feel like that's all you really need to know about me. I don't really feel comfortable explaining too much about the traumas I experienced growing up, because that's really personal. And I don't really expect people to be so open with their individual experiences. But what you do need to know is I grew up in a family where I was constantly being gaslit. My intuition was undermined. Nobody treated me as a person of value. Like, I didn't believe I had value in my family. In fact, I was told repeatedly on different occasions I shouldn't have been born by everyone, or straight up told to unalive myself. Like, that was where I grew up, and that was the environment I grew up in, where I just was so unwanted, and I was looking and desperately wanting someone to value me, to appreciate me, to give me the love I deserve. And that is where I found this person, right? My supposed twin flame met me at a time where I was separated from those people and on the search, subconscious search for someone who I felt like would complete me. Let me finish this brow and I'll get back to what I was talking about. Like, because this is a get ready with me, but I've barely even gotten ready so far. So I should say I'm not a makeup artist or anything. I barely ever do makeup these days. I'm kind of lazy. Like, it's like I spend my energy, and I don't always do it, but I do enjoy it because I am an artist and I love to paint, and makeup is just face paint, you know? It's a lot of fun. Whew. Okay, so you guys. So back to these dynamics. Basically, I was constantly gaslit, and I'm a high-level empath. I know that name has been, like, that term has been coined by, like, evil people, and people don't really, you know, resonate with the term empath anymore, but it's true for me. Like, I'm empathic. I've always had high levels of empathy, and every time something bad happened to me as a child, I always used it as motivation to improve myself. This is why, people love me. But specifically, like, I have a lot of friends who even told me, like, girl, considering what you grew up in, it's a miracle that you came out like the way you did. Like, I've never, well, hold on, I will say this, I've never treated a good person in a bad way, but I have definitely given toxic people their own, like, I've given them a taste of their medicine. And I'm not here to condone that behavior. I don't think it's wise, because you don't want to, you know, feed fire with fire, as they say, right? Isn't that the saying? But I will tell you this, if I hadn't developed those skills, I wouldn't be the same person. If I never learned how to fight back, I would still be crying in my bedroom floor. So I'm grateful, because you know what? The world isn't as kind as I am. Not everybody's gonna, like, it probably doesn't look like I'm covering up much. Listen, I have a Virgo rising. I see, like, the smallest imperfections, and I want to change it, and that's my own, that's my toxic trait. Okay, is I'm a bit of a perfectionist. But at least I'm self-aware, right? Self-awareness has to count for something. So anyways, you guys, you know, because I am getting very distracted from my original point. So what I was trying to say was, there was, okay, another nugget of information. Both my parents, I believe, they haven't been clinically diagnosed. However, I'm confident that if they were, they would be diagnosed as narcissists. Okay, so, like, both my parents, or, you know, they have a level of narcissism where they're just incredibly self-centered. They can sit there and cry about how, even though as a child I felt neglected, I felt abused, every kind of abuse that's possible, other than straight up murder. Like, I felt like I had undergone, and I say I felt like, because, to be honest, I don't really remember most of my childhood. I don't remember every day. I have a snapshot, and I remember some of the, like, horrific moments that happened, but I don't remember everything. But I can tell you this, the bad things that I do remember happening, I tried to comfort my parents, and they just broke down into tears and explained how everything is my fault. I should have protected myself. Dang it, if only I knew how to say no to abusers. If only I knew how to stand up for myself, then none of the bad things that happened to me would have happened to me. And if you don't know where the fault in those statements lie, like, if you really sit there and you believe that, then you don't deserve a place in my life. And also, click out of this video, because your feelings are about to get real hurt. But anyways, so long story short, from my childhood, I suffered a lot of abuse, and it was normalized, and I developed some important skills how to cope with it. Whenever something was clearly another person's fault that was done wrong to me, I managed to shift blame onto myself, and I also developed the skill of forgiving, but more importantly, justifying. I believe that's the term, like, justifying. Is that the term, justifying? Is it justifying? Rationalizing. There we go. I learned to rationalize the abuse done to me. So because of my upbringing, I was the perfect victim for a narcissist. Because, you know, the classic pairing, empath and narcissist, child, it was just one of those stories. But let me explain to you how it became a twin flame story once I grab my brushes. When I moved out of my childhood home and into the apartment complex nearby this university I was attending, a few months after I had done that, I met my supposed twin flame. Okay, I met the man who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And I was so certain of this after only just a few days of getting to know him. I must admit, true love is an amazing thing, but it does not happen in days. Okay, some people can argue it, all right. And I'm not really here to argue that. I'm just here to tell you my experience. So I met this man, and essentially he seemed fine on the surface, right? Like, but there were some red flags. One of which being he rushed. He was in a rush to see me. He was in a rush to get to know me. He was in a rush to spend the rest of his life with me, basically. And I should mention, within the first couple of days of talking to this man, he had already mentioned marriage. He had already mentioned the likelihood of him wanting to marry me. And I mean, like, he said it like, so what age do you want to get married at? You know what I mean? Like, questions like that. Like, he was already talking about, like, he's like, how many kids would you want? You know, and all that, talking about our dynamics. And I fed into it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, he just talked about it all and I didn't. And I knew something was wrong. I didn't know anything was wrong. I thought this was perfectly normal. Oh, yes, a man I had only gone out on 3 dates with. Let's theorize about how we could spend the rest of our lives together. Okay, in hindsight, I didn't realize he was just love bombing me. It meant nothing to him. It was just a transaction. Like, he's a narcissist. Oh, I forgot to mention. I went to therapy during the time that I had known him. And my therapist was trying to warn me that he's a narcissist. On top of that, I hadn't healed from the dynamics I grew up in. I know it looks weird now. Trust the process, sis. Trust the process. I'm not trying to look like Casper forever. It's just for now. Trust the process, sis. I'm also talking to myself when I say this. Like I was saying, I forgot to mention this, right? But I was going to therapy around the time that I met him. And even my therapist was trying to warn me that this man was a narcissist. But did I listen? Fuck no. What are you talking about? Hell no. I thought I met the love of my fucking life. I was ready to latch on. Like, I had nothing else. Literally, that's what I did. Okay, y'all, I was going to school to become a Japanese major. Because I had wanted to go to Japan. Like, my whole life goal up until that point was to one day move to Japan and become an English teacher. But I had, instead of applying for the program that I had my whole life saved up to go to, I had decided that I would rather spend the rest of my life with him than follow the ambitions I had before I met him. I was just so incredibly in love because he did everything he needed to do to make me fall in love. He was such a gentleman. He was so kind. He seemed so polite. And even when we disagreed, it looked like we had, like, kind of like a commonality. Like, it seemed like we were soulmates on paper. Until fast forward approximately a week after we started dating, this man sends me a message and he's like, hey, we should break up. And I was like, what? Just genuinely confused because, and there was other things he had done before he sent that message that started to trigger me. Even though in the beginning he wouldn't spend like longer than like 3 hours, maybe 8 hours before, like, in between responses, he was ghosting me for like a whole day and a half. And I was like, why? How did this happen? I was starting to pick up a weird vibe around that time because I was like, he never leaves my messages like unread for that long. And then everything seemed to be fine on paper. And then he texts me, he's like, I'm ready to break up. And I was just dumbfounded because I was like, whoa. I thought he said I was the love of his life. Now, I do want to interject here real quick with some information I learned recently that actually explains this behavior within him. So, to talk about it, there's another thing I want to link. So on Spotify, you can listen to audiobooks now. And there's one in particular that I found was very enlightening. So it's called How to Avoid Falling in Love with a Jerk. Okay. How to avoid falling in love with a jerk. Also, the makeup look I'm gonna do, I should have hopefully popped it in the screen by now so you know. I decided I'm gonna go with a very like warm eye look. I feel like it would match my undertones, like a very warm undertone. So I'm gonna go grab my eyeshadows real quick. Hold up. Okay, so how I usually do my makeup is I finish the eye look first and then I do the rest of the face. So, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm like pumped to share this story because I feel like it's gonna help a lot of people. I'm also nervous at the same time because this is really, really personal. I don't like to talk about this experience because I feel delulu. I feel actually unhinged telling people about this man that I thought I was in love with for like 2 years. I thought he was the love of my life. And what did we have together? What did we share? Absolutely nothing. All he did was tell me he wanted to marry me one day. And I believed him for some reason. But also, I think I just energetically could sense how, first of all, I'm a healer, right? Like, I could tell he needed healing. Most times that are not when people meet me, it's because they are in need of my light. They're in need of healing from me. Okay, but on top of that, he didn't want the healing. He just wanted the control. So I was in this compromising position where I had to decide, what did I love more, myself or this man? And without fail, I chose this man. I chose his selfish desires to have me over the fact that I deserved a loving and authentic connection. And that was the real shame. The shame here wasn't that this man fooled me, but that I let it happen. And anyway, but there's a reason why I let it happen, okay? Because I was under the illusion that this was the love of my life. I thought this guy was the love of my life. Even though he refused to spend time with me, after the week we spent together, he was never like that again. This man was telling me shit like, I've never been this kind to people, because he was like opening doors for me. If we went shopping together, he was like always buying, like he would buy me shit with him. Like if he was like, especially if he went to go purchase something, like he would get me something as well. Like I was like, oh my gosh, he spent money on me. Mind you, I'm 20, so like I wasn't dating people who had the financial means to do stuff like that, you know. And I wasn't gonna judge if they couldn't, because money isn't the measure of love, or the capacity to which someone can love you, especially in this economy. But this man, like I said, like he did a number on me. I thought he really cared. I thought he really loved me. I thought that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, and he was just so like held back by his traumas or something. Because I was like, that's why, like, he can't love me because his dad wasn't in the picture or something, or maybe his dad was in the picture but he's like abusive, like I don't know. I was like, maybe. But then I grew up in a family dynamic where I had both narcissistic parents and constantly suffering from their abuse, and yet I could still open my heart and love. Don't I deserve a partner like that? And I was trying for a while to try to get him to be that guy for me. So like I told you, some important skills I developed as a child was rationalizing and then shifting blame onto myself, because clearly the issue wasn't that this person can't love me, but that I'm not lovable enough. I have to change to make myself lovable enough for this person. Okay, and something that did not help was the tarot videos that I came across. So at the beginning of our first breakup, because we dated 2 more times after that, I'm pretty sure, and we broke up within like a week or a day after agreeing to be with each other, because I don't know, I just got the weird vibe that I was getting played. Like, I didn't know it, I just felt it. I felt this, like my body was literally like, you need to break up with him. And I'm like, why? We just got back together. And then my body's like, do it now. And so I would, and then it would just end. But yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like I wasn't impulsive. I was so impulsive. I was so unhealthy, like mentally speaking, when we had known each other. But I was trying very hard to get a hold of my mental health. Whew. Okay, so I just wanted to, I have my little note card here. So I fell into the trap of the twin flame journey as a result. Basically, I came across tarot videos on my feed, and I felt like they were sent from my angels, my guides, and they could be, for all I know. But there's this very alarming thing that would happen every time I would watch one of these videos. It would went further into justifying the way he was treating me without, like, it would explain it like, oh, he's like this because he suffered this as a child. That's why he ghosts you out of nowhere. Like, he'll ghost me. Like, I remember, like, we would be dating, right? And then for like 2 days or 3 days maybe, or maybe even just a single day of no talking to me, and then he wouldn't even like explain it. He would just be gone. And I'm thinking, oh, like, I'm sure he has his reasons, but then I'm like, what if he's cheating? You know, because there were other things he did that actually was very alarming. And I need to get into that right now to explain why, like, my mind was jumping to those type of conclusions. Because, like, it would be strange. Like, first of all, he wanted to break up with me because he claimed that work was getting busy, right? But when I knew him and when he agreed to date me, he had 2 jobs. He had 1 part-time job. No, he had like 2 part-time jobs. And on top of that, he had like a side hustle. Okay, when he agreed to date me, he had that much on his plate, as far as I knew. Like, he was very busy, but he was still making time for me. Okay, and then on top of that, this man also, when I went to his house, because he loved to talk about how he had like a house, like he purchased a home. When I went to his house, he freaked out about something. He freaked out about the fact that he had 2 towels in his bedroom. He had 2 towels. A towel for him and a towel for another person, probably another woman. However, I didn't even ask him about why he had 2 towels. I didn't even notice he had 2 towels until he started saying shit like, you know, you're supposed to have 2 towels. Like, you shouldn't use the same towel you have for your face on your body as well. That's what he said. He was very adamant about it. He was like almost willing to get argumentative over it. And I was like, oh, I didn't even notice he had 2 towels. Like, I honestly didn't even care. But then he started making a whole deal out of it. And I was like, oh, okay, like, word, I guess he's really into his hygiene. And I was like, I didn't even know that. I hadn't even, like, really, I hadn't even done that for myself before. Like, I've never even like cared enough to get 2 towels, 1 for my face and 1 for my body. You know, but then I was like, all right, cool, bet maybe this guy is just, he's on that level of like self-love, self-care. It's totally not a towel for another person though, right? So, okay, and then later I think that same day or another day, I went into his laundry room. Like, he had to do some laundry, and then I saw like a woman's thong on the ground, and I was like, oh. But I didn't ask questions because we had just started dating, or we were just about to date. Oh, and then another thing I wanted to mention too. I know the story's out of order. I'm sorry about that, you guys. I do have ADHD, so it's hard for me to like tell a story congruently. But what you do need to know is one time, so he one time we were like hanging out, he wanted to kiss me. This is before we started dating. And I told him like I didn't really want to engage in like that kind of activity until after we started dating. And then he was like, okay, bet. And so I think we ended up kissing anyways, and then he told me he wanted to date me. Guess what we did not too long after that? And then guess how long after that he broke up with me? It's almost like he was after one thing the whole time. and I guess my heart got in the way of it. Okay, so I did like, it wasn't looking very like orangey enough for me. So I've just been like adding a bunch of color, and I think at this point I just need to give up. I don't think it's gonna look any more orangey-ish like than this. So I'm like, damn shoddy. Like, I gotta blend it out now, and then, oh, brother. Yeah, y'all, this situation was like a whirlwind of emotion. But anyway, so as I said, I thought this man loved me, and that's why he wanted to date me, and I thought that that's why he even told me. Like, I remember I told him one day, this is like just before he broke up with me, I was like, hey, I love you. And he was like, oh, you know, I have like this trauma, so I can't say it back with you, but I feel the same way. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then he broke up with me. Like, I talk about the story, I'm like, damn, I really just got played, but I didn't know better. I thought he meant it. By the way, he was 24 and I was 20. So like, he had a few years old, he was a few years older than me. And also, I think I'm gonna go in with a combination of these with this palette. So I'm gonna go grab another product. Okay, oh my gosh, literally beaming. I'm geeking here, you guys. I'm geeking out here. I'm just so excited, but it's also like a little scary to talk about this because, truth be told, this is just, I mean, I mentioned why already, but it comes back, it comes in waves, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited, but I'm also at the same time kind of like, ooh, it's a little spooky. But yeah. The hell? What happened to... Oh, you know what? Okay, I was like, where the fuck did that brush go? I have this brush. I use it for creases. It's this one. So my technique is to make a cut crease. I add this like eye primer from Anastasia Beverly Hills. And I cut crease. Like this. You need the stillest fucking hands possible. Okay, and I kind of want to do like this shape, like a circle-ish, like a half circle. Okay, so wish me luck. So in the picture, she like had it all the way. Sometimes I like cut it halfway, like I cut the crease halfway, if that's what it's called, but she like did a whole, she took the whole space of the eyelid. So I'm gonna do, I feel like she outlined it with a highlight, really glittery eyeshadow, so I'm gonna do that too after I finish adding in the color I want for the crease. Okay, back to what I was talking about. I'm gonna give it a second. So what actually made me believe that this man was my twin flame, because I had a moment where after I had, he was either after the breakup or during the time I knew him, I had this epiphany. I was like, oh my gosh, the reason why I was born was so I could end up with him. Like, I was having thoughts like that, you guys. I was having thoughts that this man was the love of my life. Anyway, it's absolutely baffling to me now to think back at that time and be like, wow, I was just so... No, this is just more of the same of like the previous... Like, what? Hell no, it's just more of the same. Hell no. Excuse me, they need to be like a lighter color. Okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna go in with glitters. like, fuck it, why not? So I'm just gonna go in with like all the warm toned glitters that I feel like just plastering over my face. It's gonna be a mess, but anyway, blend out the mistake I had made here. So yeah, like I said, this really doesn't look like much on camera. Trust me, it's beautiful in real life. I swear. I don't know, is it me? Like, or am I just a hater? Like, why does she look like she did a better job? Whatever, I think I just need to blend it all out. Okay, but anyway, you guys, oh, I totally forgot about the story. So, you know, basically I had this belief that he was the love of my life, right? I had believed it. I convinced myself that was true. Mind you, I had only known him for a few days. Okay, and then I came across the tarot content that was like about this TwinFlame Journey type shit, right? But here's the thing, they always found a way of explaining why it was there was a chaser and why there was a runner, and you bless the hearts of the women who post that type of content, because I know that they didn't have any bad intentions, but I had consumed like so many videos about a twin flame journey, basically, like the tarot readers, and it was always spot on to my particular, like, it always felt like the messages were general enough, and they always felt spot on to my experience with my particular person, right? I always felt, and they'd always talk about why they were distant emotionally, but at the same time, it wasn't until I was ready to hear the news that this person actually, like, never really loved me. I know it was hard to believe at first, but it was like, oh, this guy, the way he treated me, he saw me as like an object. He really genuinely didn't even think of me as a person with emotions, and not like the things he said mattered to me, but like actually, like, he was just here to tell me, like, he was just here to manipulate, gaslight, abuse, and throw me away when he was done using me. And that was our experience with each other. I had felt manipulated, gaslit, and all the whole time I would even ask him, like, do you really care about me? Like, just be honest. Like, I would rather you just tell me the truth than string me along. And he would never answer me directly. And then he would be like, of course I care about you. Of course, Abisha, of course I care about you. I care so much about you, I ignore you all day. I care so much about you that I sleep with other girls. I care so much about you that I want you in my life 20% of the time. Of course I care. And you know, I'm like sitting here like, something don't sit right with me. Something does not sit right with me. And yet I kept dealing with him. I kept dealing with the back and forth, and then occasionally I get so sick of him I would just block his ass. And then, you know, I would like stop being sick of him, and then I'd unblock his ass, and it just went on like that forever until I realized I deserved better. And then when I was really done with him, I guess now he wants to change his act. Like, I don't know what's going on, but it seems like energetically, because I get like reading updates, you know, like I get reading updates. I'm kept in the loop about who's thinking about me. I don't know. You know, but right, and I don't, whenever I feel like a video is about this particular individual, I don't pay it 2 cents. Like, I don't usually care, but the general message, because this message keeps popping up, it doesn't even matter if the reading is like about anything else but him, as long as it's tarot, like somehow his higher self wants to come in and be like, hey, strangest thing. But you know, it adds up to my spirituality. Like, I have this spiritual belief. Hold on, I need to grab something. But yeah, you know, I have like, so my spirit guides communicate to me in my external 3D reality. I receive a lot of messages through the sign of animals, right? Like whenever I see a crow, I know that the people I'm hanging out with are not actually people trustworthy. Whenever I see crows, and particularly when there's a lot of them, I know that the person and people I'm hanging out with or conversing with are not trustworthy individuals, especially if I see a murder of crows. Then I'm like, oh, these are really, I shouldn't really give these people much of my time. So I don't, and usually they just go away. But if I do make the mistake of trying to connect, then I get burnt for it, because usually they end up turning out to be like either awful people or untrustworthy people. And sometimes it's not even that they're like bad people, it's just like, you ever met someone with a broken soul? Have you ever tried to be friends with someone who has given up on life, like completely and utterly? I know some people are like, I hate my life, but like they're still trying. No, I mean people who like genuinely stop trying, like they don't even have a will to live. Those individuals, first of all, they're scary as fuck. Never get on their bad side, because they have nothing to lose. And then second of all, I have, you know, I'm meant to heal people. I would consider myself as someone who saves the damned. I mean, motherfucking Mother Teresa. But even I can't save those people. Like, I'm like, oh, you got to get yourself out of this funk. Like, that's all I know. I can't help you with that. You know, with peace and love, child, get a therapist, go to therapy. And that's what I tell these people, and they get so like, in the moment they're like, oh, you know, you're right, and then they talk shit about me in their little groups, and they think I don't know about it, like I don't feel it. Like, I mean, I don't really claim this term, but I have spiritual gifts. Some of them do make me psychic, in the sense that I know when like I know the truth of people's hearts. If you say you like me, but then you turn around and talk shit about me, I know. I know, because I feel it. And I'm adding some black liner to my... Yeah, and I'm gonna come back and add like mascara once I finish the other eye. Oh god, we're like 48 minutes in and I haven't even done the other eye. You guys, I'm literally just ranting. Oh fuck, I need to get to the point. So, you know, I fell in love with this guy who made me the center of his world in such a short amount of time, and just as quickly as he had done that, he kicked me out. And I was left wanting more, and that is the psychological effect. There's a psychological and chemical reaction that was going on in my body, especially when we danced the devil's tango. Because then I was very emotionally attached, and this person who has emotional attachment issues like did not. And so this was it was just a recipe for a setup. But then what really made it a setup was the fact that I was coming across tarot content. So I was thinking to myself that oh yeah, oh my god, so back to what I was talking about. So I came across tarot videos that were telling me that this guy actually loved me and that he was the genuine love of my life. And so I sent him those videos, and I'm sure I looked crazy doing that, but he said something like, oh, I agree, or something like that. But then like what came of our connection? And I tell you, nothing. I mean it. So then fast forward, we would just talk on and off for like a few months. I would talk to him, because the thing is, like, we had a lot of gaps in between each conversation, because I would get so sick of his bullshit that I would just block him, and then I'd unblock him. Like, I'd be like, I'm like, if he's the love of my life, then why doesn't he want to spend every day with me? Like, I'm like, I'm so confused. Like, how does this work? And then on top of that, I start talking to him, and I'm like, oh, he's gross. Like, he gives like predator vibes. Like, I'm sorry, like, he does. He like, it's something about like his face. He just seems so untrustworthy. And I remember I showed him a picture. I showed my mom a picture of him once, and she literally was so scared based on his face. Like, she started praying right there. Like, she was literally like, oh my God, Abisha, do not tell me that's the man. And I was like, yeah, that's the man. It was one of the times where we were talking on and off, and I was like, I swear he's a good guy. And she was like, no, he's not. And then, wow, she was right. For what it's worth, she was right. But she was gonna like accept him for me, but at the same time she was like, don't end up with a man like the one I married. So anyway, not to expose unhealthy dynamics, but also that's what I'm here for. I'm a truth seeker. I'm a generational cycle breaker. Baby, I do it all. Just try to keep up. Basically, for about 2 years, well, like I'd say a year and a half, I convinced myself that even though this man didn't want to spend time with me, didn't want to talk to me, didn't appreciate or value me, that he truly loved me more than anybody in the world could ever love me. Until I had loved myself. Once I had started to give myself the respect I deserve, once I started to say no to his half-assed like the hangouts and dates and all that, and I just started focusing on loving myself, all of a sudden he meant absolutely nothing to me. Truly, like he was just this blip, an insignificant person on my timeline, and there's a part of me that didn't want to make him to be like that, because I wanted him to be more. I wanted him to be the love of my life. I thought he was supposed to be the love of my life. I thought he was the reason why I was born, and that like every awful thing that ever happened to me happened so that he and I could be together. I was telling myself this type of shit because I really, really, truly wanted him to be the love of my life. And if he was, I thought everything else in the world would make sense, but it didn't. And that's not who he was supposed to be in my life. Actually, he's just some dude. Like, he's just some guy that I happened to meet, and it was by chance, to be honest. Like, it could have happened, it could not have happened. You know, but honestly, there was a lot of karma in this connection. He was meant to teach me that what I thought was normal, you know, being gaslit and then going against my intuition, is actually not normal. And that was the blessing of meeting him, was him teaching me how to respect and honor myself by not respecting and honoring me. And that's the truth, you guys. And chances are that's probably why you're still stuck in your twin flame dilemma. If you feel like someone's your twin flame, but they are not treating you as such, like you're like, how can you just breathe without me? Like, it's hard for me to breathe without you. Like, I thought you were the love of my life, but yet you're out here fucking other bitches. Like, that's weird. Like, that literally doesn't make sense, you guys. That's what I was like asking myself. I was like, how is he like supposed to be some sort of like God ordained man for me, but then like he's totally fine living the rest of his life without me? I was just so confused. And I thought it was just because he wasn't telling me how he really cared about me, like, you know, because I was thinking to myself, and that's what I told myself for the longest time, is like, oh, it's because of his trauma or whatever, right? Like, he can't tell me that he loves me because of all the pain he experienced growing up. And I'm like, I literally experienced pain as well. I grew up in a predominantly white area. I talk like I'm white. My lexicon, I know words like fucking lexicon. Like I'm white. Well, no, I'm not, but I sound like it. If you never met me, we were just on the phone, you probably would have thought I was a white person. Why am I saying this? There's a reason why I'm saying this. Because that I grew up in an area, and I have been like, but I'm not, okay? So I've experienced a lot of adversity because of complex structural issues like systematic racism. It's still a thing. I know we don't want to acknowledge it, but it's still a thing. People are still being racially profiled to this day. It's not done yet. We're not done with that era of humanity, but I think that in a matter of years we could be, if we really put our minds together. But as of currently, that's not the case. All right. You know, I say this to say I don't even really like care about that anymore. Like, that was an era of my life where I felt like I was defined by my race and felt like judged and whatever for it, but now I'm in a place in my life where I literally could care less what you think. It does not matter to me. You can go ahead and prescribe these human labels. I'm gonna keep shining and be myself irregardless, but if you want to stay stuck, by all means go ahead. But what I'm saying here is, and also learn how to catch a vibe. Don't ever hang out with people that you think are racially discriminative, because if you're a person of color and you're hanging out with people who don't like people of color, child, you on your own with that one. So she added like this white highlight here, and I added like it's like a different color, but I don't know, maybe I'm the reason why it's making it worse. I don't know, I'm just like, you know what, whatever. They're sisters, not twins. Isn't that the saying? Like the eye look I got going on and the one that the lady has in the photo, it's just they're two different looks. I feel like they're not the same, and I tried to make them the same, but you know what, they're sisters, they're not twins. Do I even look like I'm wearing anything in the other eye? Bust my arm. Okay, whatever. Oh, I hate it, but I still look good. Whatever. So, you know, let's just get back to what I was talking about. So, yeah, this was like, I thought this man was the love of my life for approximately like 2 years, honestly. But I say like, I started to really question it after like a year and a half of waiting, because I was like, how much longer am I supposed to wait for this guy to like choose me? The answer to that question is the rest of my life. I would have to wait for the rest of my life for that man to choose me. And by the end of it, I would realize he never did. He's kind of incapable. He only really, I mean, as far as I knew, he only really cared about himself. And that's probably because his whole life he only had himself. So I'm not here to judge that about him. But I'm here to judge the fact that, I'm not even judge. I'm just here to acknowledge the fact that I knew that and I still was choosing him, and that was my problem. I was loving someone who couldn't love me back. And why was I doing that? Because my whole life, I have been in relationships with people who only knew how to love themselves, like my family, like my community, like the people around me, only caring about what they cared, not about me. And so I had to learn to make the same choice. I had to learn to choose myself and what was best for me. And that was the reason why this, if anything, I think that's why I got so many readings telling me this man was my twin flame, because in some senses, he was meant to embark me on the journey of self-love and self-discovery, because I kind of had to shut the rest of the world out in order to focus on myself. And by doing so, I got to meet who I really am, the beautiful soul that you see here today. I glow and I shine, and I don't even wear makeup on a day-to-day basis. And it's because what you see on the outside is what you see with what it reflects what's on the inside. Okay, I have a beautiful heart, and I've been through so many experiences, and I slowly, bit by bit, I do want to open up and share with the world the things I've been through so that I can help other people heal through the same dilemma. And throughout this journey, I discovered God, and maybe that's not not everybody's gonna have the same experiences as me. So maybe, you know, you haven't gotten that, or maybe that's not for you to have. But I can tell you this: I'm one of God's favorite, and that's the only way to explain why this story, this twin flame experience, was mild. Honestly, the most he did was break up with me and use me for sex. It could have been worse. And I'm glad it didn't get like that. And I think the reason why it didn't get like that is because I'm protected by God. I was just meant to sit there on the surface and see what he had going on for himself, and then leave every now and then because I would be guided to. But anyways, I think the reason why we had met is because I had gone through so many adversities and I needed to heal. And he mirrored back a lot of those adversities, right? Like, he treated me the way my family treated me growing up. They would love bomb and then they would gaslight. You know, I'd be like, you told me I was your favorite daughter and now you're telling me you wish I wasn't born? Like, what the fuck? Nothing, like, what happened to make that change? whatever happened, it was not worth that disproportionate level of a reaction. Okay. But because I had those feelings were not addressed, I ended up attracting a partner that would force me to address those feelings growing up, and the ones I had even dating him, because I was like, well, if he really claims to love me, then why is he treating me like this? Like, you know, I remember at one point, because we did get into arguments sometimes, but I remember he told me he just thought I was a bad investment. Like, he straight up told me, like, he just didn't think I was good enough for him after everything he did to get me. Now he's telling me I'm not good enough. That's weird. That's fucking weird. You know, so needless to say, I was pissed, because now I'm like, oh, I see, this was the plan from the beginning. The plan from the start was he was, you know, okay, I related one time in a video how narcissists treat people the way that we treat normal people treat laptops. When you turn on a laptop, you're essentially, it's a code. The code is to turn it on, like you press the on button. Well, narcissists treat I love you like a code. When they say it and when they do it, it's just to get a reaction out of you. It's not actually because, but when I turn on a laptop, I mean, it's not like I really love the laptop, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a thing I own. I mean, think about how people treat Siri. That's how these people be treating us. Like an object. Truly, for their own personal, it's like an extension of their ego. That's, I think, how it works for them, is like they treat people like an extension of their ego. I mean, I don't really get what it's like to be a narcissist, because I'm not a narcissist, but my best understanding of this is like they treat people like that because, you know, we're just extensions of their ego. They think of us as like limbs. So of course you can mistreat your own limb. It's your limb. It's not, and it's no one else's. But anyway, long story short, I do wish healing upon everybody in this story. I did want to explain that first and foremost, I don't have any ill will towards these people, and it's been long enough for me to forgive them. Will I let them back in my life? No. Don't be ridiculous. But I mean, I feel like part of the reason why I met this person is, you know, like, look at me. Look at the content I'm making right now. Look at the fact that I'm even making content. Okay, like when I first, you know what, hold up. I'm gonna need to concentrate to do this. Okay, so as I once said before, they're sisters, not twins. So let's just move on, because otherwise I'll be stuck doing this shit all day. And hell no to getting stuck. Anyways, so basically, I believe connections like the one I just experienced were set up maybe by, you know, something dark to keep us stuck, because that was the point. I was stuck on this guy. I couldn't really move forward with my life. Ooh, child, the throat chakra blockages. But I felt like I couldn't move on with my life. I felt like I had to stay stuck with him. Like, I wanted him to choose me. And how was that going to happen if I moved on with my life and actually did something with it? Like, if I started YouTube videos. And because I, like, resented and I rejected the fact of staying stuck on somebody who literally isn't capable of the emotion, like, LOVE. Or so I presume. I don't know. Maybe this person could fall in love and they couldn't fall in love with me. But, you know, it's just like I had to sort of realize, like, oh, you know, fuck this guy and move on. And so, you know, like, fucking, but why, right? Like, why did we say that? And unpack all the trauma I had experienced growing up. That was the only way I could really get myself unstuck, is to move on. And to choose myself, and to also realize, you know, the pattern. So this all really boils back down to patterns. And there was an example I was going to talk about from the book I've been reading recently. I'm on chapter, like, I think 8, of how to avoid falling in love with a jerk. So there's something, I mentioned this earlier, so now I'm going to, like, talk about it. So in the book, I forgot what chapter it was, but at some point the author mentioned a situation that kind of paralleled the situation I had growing up, or not growing up, with this guy. So there was this man, his name, I forgot the exact plot line or the story that was presented in the book, it's not really a story as far as I understand. It's someone's like actual experience, and I'm sure the author was using aliases when talking about these people because they were probably clients, but I don't know if it doesn't really matter. Like, okay, so there's this dude and this girl. This girl had just broken up with a partner she had been dating for like 5 years. And she met the dude. She had known him before, but they weren't really like close. Until after she had broken up with her boyfriend, and basically like she was like, or husband, and she was like just upset, and she had wished that she had met the dude she's talking to first instead of her husband, because she was like, you're the guy that can give me the love I never received from my previous relationship, which I guess stemmed even further back than just the relationship she had with that guy, like just a pattern of not ever being truly loved the way she needed to be loved. And so I'm gonna use this brush. I really like it for foundation. We're finally on the foundation step. Isn't that exciting? Okay, so basically, you know, she fell in love with the dude. The idea of him, they had just met, they talked for every day for like a whole week, or maybe even for a whole month. And then they were so smitten with each other, they decided they were gonna live together. Like, they decided they were gonna move in together, and start their life as a couple. They had just jumped so many like steps in getting to know each other, and they felt very comfortable and that they could trust each other. And I'm sure it didn't help that they had a sexual relationship, but eventually, right, they move in together. And the first and last day that they ever moved in together, and mind you, you know, before this, they were talking about that they were at the I love you stage, that they were ready for like true love, and never mind the fact that he even exposed to her that he was a narcissist. Not even that he was a narcissist, but his father and his older brothers are narcissists. Like, there was like all this like red flags the girl ignored and just went straight to the dating stage with this dude, because she was like, surely he would never treat me like that, you know, or whatever. And so I know I'm telling the story out of order, but it's just the way it's coming to me right now. Okay, and so basically, the day they move in together, he tells her, so they get into this argument. He moves in this chair, and she's like, so he has this chair, right? And he's like, he moves it into her place, and she's like, oh, you know, that chair doesn't really match the decor of my apartment or my house. And then he was like, you know, he like was like, they get into this argument, and they start like complaining, or they start arguing about the chair. And then he moves out because he's like, I can't believe you called this place yours. I thought it was ours now that we were living together or something. And that was his whole thing. And she like couldn't understand how he could just fall out of love with her in that single moment over an argument about a fucking chair. And there's another thing I wanted to share with you guys about my supposed twin flame. So one time we hung out with each other, and it was like, wow, I was still 20, and him and a few other people, we were hanging out in a group, and the people of our group, we all wanted to go clubbing and we wanted to go partying. But since I was 20, I like told them like, I can't get in, like I'm 20, like they're not gonna let me once they check my ID, and I don't have a fake one, and I wasn't about to get one either. I was about to turn 20 in like a little while. So I was like, you know, like we could just like go out and get food and stuff. And then, but they insisted on trying for some reason, so we went out anyway. The night ended the way I had predicted. I was like, we're not getting into any of those places, they're not gonna let us in. But there was something that happened that was particularly like, and now I think about it, I'm like, oh, you know what, so anyway, so long story short, I'm not gonna get into specifics because again, this is not my story to tell, but I had a friend, and my twin flame wanted my friend to date someone else than the person that she was currently dating. He had his reasons, but ultimately this is a very toxic thing. And the reason why I was like the reason why he felt comfortable telling me that is because some of the reasons he had brought up with why he wanted my friend to date someone else, I was like, oh, you know what, like I don't disagree with his reasoning, but in hindsight, what is this man doing trying to get my best friend to break up with her boyfriend and to date someone else. Like, what is, you know, like in hindsight, I'm like, that was probably one of the very first red flags I ignored. And I ignored it because I thought he was the love of my life, right? Like, I thought, like, I had just so many feelings for him, and I got this weird feeling that he wanted to be with my friend, but later on that was confirmed, like, he did actually want to sleep with her, and that's why he was acting like that. But at the time, again, like, those red flags were like, woo, over my head. I was like, call me Captain Obvious, because I was not getting it. Oof. But anyway, he wanted my friend to break up with the guy she was dating. And so while we were hanging out in a group setting, this dude, one of his friends, was hitting on my girl. And she's my motherfucking best friend. She's my motherfucking best friend. Of course I'm gonna back her the fuck up. You know what I did? I said, how long have you and your boyfriend been dating again? I was like, how long have you and your boyfriend been dating again, in front of the whole group while we were on our way to a store? I was like, so how long have you guys been dating? She was like, oh, almost 3 years now. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Because I was like, hey, I'm not gonna let you spit your game, because I already know for a fact my bestie didn't want your ass. My bestie didn't want his ass. I knew for a fact. I was like, she didn't want him. But she's a really nice person. And a nice person's Achilles heel is boundaries. So I, being the bad bitch that I fucking am, was like, no, even though I personally, cause, gosh, what happened to my, oh, there it is. Again, this is not my story to tell, so I really don't feel comfortable talking about it. But what you do need to know is this man who was supposedly in love with me wanted me to get my friend to break up with, and mind you, like, he had no real, like, he had his reasons for why. That's all you really need to know. And some of his reasons, like, I did agree with, but all in all, the relationship was healthy, or so that we knew. And so, like, I was like, ultimately I was on the side of my bestie. I was like, I'm gonna pick her over you any day. Like, this is my girl. This is my motherfucking girl. This is my baby girl. like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm not gonna let you put her in a situation where she's uncomfortable. I'm not gonna let you I'm not gonna allow your friend to pass at her unless my friend agreed to wanting that. But she's a loyal girl. Okay, she is a loyal girl. She's a Capricorn, you guys. Ain't nobody no loyalty like them. So, like, well, I can't make a general statement like that, but I feel like it's pretty safe to say that Capricorns are loyal people. They're earth signs, and I'm like, I don't need to be a psychic to let you know she's not interested. I'm correct. Like, I'm 100% correct here. She wasn't interested in his friend. So I wasn't gonna let his friend try to bug her. Okay. But then after that, I think he was pissed with me, because then he stopped, like, really spending as much time. And then on a separate occasion, so once we had made it to a club, I was the last of us to get into the club. And I told them beforehand they're not going to let me in because, like, I'm under 21. And at the time, that club does allow people younger than 21. They allow people, like, at age 18. But we were on a day where they weren't allowing. Like, it was, like, on some days they allow people, like, 18 and over in. And then, like, other days, you have to be, like 21 in order to get into the club. So we were standing outside. We were standing outside the club. Oh, I was standing outside, and there was this man behind me, and my bestie stuck close with me because she a real motherfucking one. As I said, we know this. She's a Capricorn. Hello. I'm gonna go grab my contour. There was this random ass man behind me who was talking some shit. Well, he wasn't really talking shit. He was like, they were like, while the guy was checking my ID, the other one was like, you know, patting me down, making sure I didn't have weapons or something. Well, they didn't pat me down. They looked at my purse and they saw that I had pepper spray. Every girl who lives alone needs, at the very minimum, like, pepper spray. But they saw that I had pepper spray and they were like, we're sorry, ma'am. That's not allowed in the club. Okay, so the guy behind me he's like, oh, but you gotta let her have it. Look at her. She's so he said something like, she looks fucking snatchable, or he said something like, she looks so good, anybody would snatch her up. That's what they said. This random man was like shooting his shot at this random, like at this time where I was alone, because my friend had just got approved to get into the club. But then she heard that and she like turned back around, and then she tried to grab the nigga. Okay, the man that was supposed to be my man for the evening. She tried to grab his ass and tell him about what was going on, because apparently, you know, men are supposed to like defend or protect or something like that. He was nowhere to be found. When he found out about the situation, he didn't even care. Like, he didn't even care. I was like, wow, this guy was literally like, I mean, I get that he was just suggesting it, but as far as I know, he was threatening to abduct my ass. Like, that's so interesting. And I let that slide because, again, a lack of self-love and boundaries. Like, I just didn't choose better for myself, because, like, you know, it was a choice I had to make, and I'm making that choice now. But at the time, you know, I was, do you even see a difference? But right, like I was saying, this man who was supposed to be my nigga was like, didn't even care. And I don't, it's just like weird in hindsight, but yeah. So, you know, fast forward throughout the evening, gonna contour my nose here, my nose. Okay, and then he was like, you know, trying to act like he bro, fuck, wait, no, it's the way like my mind is like on autopilot right now. So he didn't even respond. Like, he didn't say anything to that dude. We just like, we promptly left. Okay, and then the next place we went to, I guess like things like smoothed over or whatever, but okay, that was like shocking, considering this man's supposed to be my twin flame. He's like, oh, he's my twin flame, he's my twin flame. Okay, but where was he at? There the whole time. And what he do? Absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, he was ready to like post up for my girlfriend, like my friend. So long story short, the very first time he met my friend's boyfriend, he was ready to beat his ass. I'm so sorry. Like, I know it's like, it's so, and I can't give you too many details as to why. Like, just, anyway, he was ready to beat his ass. He wasn't, if he did, he was not going to be in the, he wasn't going to be justified, but like he, or actually, well, anyway, my point is, he was gonna beat my girl's boyfriend's ass the very first time he met her boyfriend. And to this day, he has never once expressed that level of like care for me. And he's supposedly my twin flame. Like, this is the man the Lord and Savior has justified for me. No. Like, no. I only loved him because I was delusional as fuck. You know what I mean? And I can't help it. It was a descending in Pisces. Okay, I have a descendant in Pisces, meaning I find delusional ass people to be just so appealing. It's my 7th house, okay? Which, if I remember correctly, 7th house is ruled by Libra, meaning it's about relationships and other people. I'm into fucking delusional niggas. Like, ugh. Anyway, long story short, we don't gotta worry about that no more. You know, your girl's been fixed. Okay, well, I'm just on my healing journey. So she had a very like orangey like undertone, and I know this isn't gonna it doesn't even show up on the brush. Like, I know it's not gonna show up very well on my skin tone, so I'm also gonna use this like peachy reddish, just like a little bit, to kind of resemble blush. Okay, no, it's amazing how my skin just absorbs the pigment. It gets like whatever. But okay, you guys, so fuck, I like wasn't thinking and I just went, crap, I meant to grab, whatever. what you do to one side, you must do to the other. Whatever. So, like I was saying, I justified it in my head. I gave him all sorts of excuses. I tried so hard to make him look like a great guy, but he wasn't, and not even he would admit to being a good person. I was just projecting it onto him, and also I was projecting it onto him because I wanted him to be that person for me. I really did, and he tried a way of triggering all my childhood, like, wounds, and, like, all the patterns from, like, the past I needed to heal, and I think that, that's what made it divine, was the healing I ended up getting out of it. But it's not something he actually helped me with. It's something I helped myself with. Like, this man would probably leave me half dead under a bridge if he could. If that was totally legal, he would. Like, he never loved me, and that's the truth. And, like, that's what took my brain so long to understand. It's like, I thought he did because in the beginning he showed care in the beginning, because after the beginning, like, he stopped being so nice. After that, every time I tried to ask him, do you really, like, care for me, because, like, your behavior isn't adding up, and instead of having the appropriate response of what am I doing that's making this woman think that I don't actually love her, he's like, cannot give me an honest to God answer. Okay, I guess I just let that sit for a minute there. Okay, well, you know, I'm just gonna move on to another layer of mascara. I like to layer them. Moral of the story, don't take less than what you deserve. That's what I learned. Like, I have to remind you, I learned a lot. I'm actually grateful for the experience after the fact. Would I go through it again? Hell no. Hell no. I refuse. I rebuke with the name of the Lord. I rebuke this, because it was awful going through it, and then, like, the heartache that I experienced, I just couldn't, like, I thought I was gonna die from the grief of realizing that I have fallen in love with a player type, you know. But I guess that's what they do best. They swoon, they manipulate, they abuse, and then discard. Like, it's just their signature. It's just an innocent soul that got caught in the trap. But rather than repeating those cycles, I decided to break them. I'm not gonna do that to another person, and I swore on that shit. We have a pretty good base going on, so, like, I guess it was for the best. I don't know. I'm, like, winging it as I go. Yeah. Ooh, ah, wah, ooh, ah, wah, ooh, wah, whoa, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Can you tell what era I was born in? Just based on my sense of humor. Okay, so, you know, I do feel like I should get to the point. I literally applied absolutely nothing to my face. Like, that, do you see? Nothing. That's on me, because me being delusional enough to try it again. Because that's what also, like, the relationship felt like that. Like, I would try with the same person to have a different result, even though every time I try to start anything with this person, the result is the same. Even if he would reach out to me, the result would be the same every time. It was just a waste of my time. Like, this man he was never gonna commit. No matter how many times he would tell me he was never ready to grow up. He was never ready to give me the love I deserved. He was always just going to lead me on, and that's the truth. Like, and I kept trying with him. I kept letting him back in time after time, hoping that the result would be different. But in actuality, he just wanted to control, manipulate me. He wanted me to be someone he could discard whenever he liked, someone he could sleep with but never choose, someone he could just, like, it was gross. Like, he wanted me as, like, a... I don't even think I can say this word on YouTube. But, you know, like, those people those poor innocent souls on Jeffrey Epstein's island? Yeah, like, that's just an example. He just wanted to be able to treat me like that, and then, like, never talk to me again, and then talk to me whenever he wanted to. Like, that was the truth. Isn't that sad? And I couldn't understand it for the longest time, because I would never treat someone like that. I would rather die than use somebody Like, I would rather die. I would rather die than manipulate. I would rather die than use my than to take advantage of someone's innocent and pure feelings of me just to extract money out of them, or just to extract like my own bodily pleasures from this person. Like, I would rather die than use someone like that. And ultimately, I think it's because of this mentality that I'll always be blessed. Like, I think it's because I'm a good person that God chooses to favor me. But, you know, like, that's just my opinion anyway. And so far it's been true. Like, even though I've been through some shit, I've always been taken care of. Like, straight up. Like, I've always been blessed. Like, I would be living through the worst parts of my life, and then randomly, like, I would just get, like when I was a kid, I used to get gifts all the time. It would come out of nowhere, though. And it's not like I have a placement in my birth chart that makes me lucky. I'm pretty sure I have Jupiter and Cancer. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm lucky when it comes to whatever Cancer rules. It's not money, though. It's definitely not money. And I've never had, like, a good, healthy family. So it's like, I know it wasn't from that. But anyway, I always just managed to get blessed. And, you know, I never questioned where my blessings came from, because I was always just so grateful that I even got blessings in the first place. But I realized it's because I got them that other people would be so jealous of me. Like, they would be pissed. And a lot of them apparently wondered, like, why me? Child, the better question is, why not? Like, why not me? Why don't I deserve these blessings? And I used to project that same question. I'd be like, why do I get blessed? I don't deserve it. Because other people felt like I wasn't worthy of them. But then the one true creator was blessing me anyway. So it was like, who am I to question God's plan? Who am I to question God's plan? Sometimes on this journey, one must humble themselves. As smart and amazing that I am, like, I don't know the plan. Like, I really don't know everything. And I trust that my life is on this ever ongoing journey upwards towards success. I'm trying to, like, cut a crease here. I don't know if I feel like I am going a little low, but it's also like I'm following my natural, like, kind of like cheekbone. But now at this point, I'm just painting my face. Yeah, the tarot videos I came across, they were a trap. And then on top of that, I just was like hoping for something. And I was like, I remember, like, I wasn't taking care of myself unless, like, I knew he loved me, you know, unless, like, he was showing me attention or something. I just, like, wouldn't take care of myself. Like, I wouldn't, like, bathe every day or something, or, like, I wouldn't wash my face. Maybe I'll brush my teeth. Like, I was just, like, I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, I wasn't really taking the best care of myself. And I was doing it because I felt like, I don't know, I was waiting for him to love me so I could love myself. And by doing so, I'd wait forever. Like, anyway, my point is, and then once I started taking care of myself, blowing up, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't just him. Like, it was all the people I had to abandon on this process of ascension. Like, all the people who were so stuck balls deep in their toxic patterns that they didn't have space in their heart for me. Like, they couldn't love me because, like, I was above those toxic patterns. The same patterns that we once connected over, I had ascended. I had grown past them. And a part of my channel is to help. I want to help other people do the same. Like, I want you all to elevate, vibrate past those patterns that keep you stuck in low vibrational thinking and low vibrational ways that push away people who are genuine and good-hearted, but keep the ones who just want to use, abuse, and throw you away. Like, I cannot stress this enough. This man I thought loved me, and I wanted him to love me, would never, like, child, I'd be over at his place sometimes, and I would starve the whole day. He'd rather be starved than feed my ass. Like, do you understand? Like, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. He would get me food, but it felt like he had to. Like, it wasn't because he wanted to. Like, it felt like he had to. Like, he really stopped trying, and I was the one trying full time. And, like, the emotional labor of that, like, ugh, child, I don't know if he was doing his best. I'm sure maybe in his own little way he was, but I still deserved better. So at the end of the day, he was just a waste of my time. you know, and there were some red flags I ignored. Like, I never felt safe around him, and it was so hard for me to fall asleep. Like, whenever we slept together, or if we like just like I spend the night over at his place, like I just couldn't. I would literally just stay awake the whole night. I wouldn't fall asleep. I just couldn't fall asleep. I never felt safe, and I didn't know that's what I was feeling, because that's how I felt growing up. I always didn't feel safe, so it was normal for me not to feel safe in the presence of others. If you get what I'm saying, like, it was the trauma I grew up in, and then that I embodied and thought was normal, that was leading me into these relationships where I wasn't being satisfied. That's probably the fattest L of my goddamn life that I've ever taken, was loving a narcissist. But, you know, even the great fall sometimes. It happens to the best of us. You pick yourself back up and you brush it off. Like, it took me years. I'm telling you, y'all, it took me 2 years. Took me 2 years for me to move on. So, and the relationship only lasted like 2 weeks. So, you know, next time you feel bad about not getting over someone immediately, don't. Give yourself grace. I will say that. And you will feel like a loser because you liked one. Okay, but that's okay. You will overcome it. There's no obstacle in this world that you're not gonna be. And I'm sorry, like, I'm sure I sound like a dick. I do feel like I'm sounding a bit rude right now. But I mean, like, it's how I feel, and I'm not trying to be necessarily disrespectful. So I should say this, I hold no ill will for these people. And it's not just this twin flame. I was in other karmic relationships as well. Like, I was in karmic relationships with friends who reminded me of my family growing up, or I had cycles with a close friend that I was repeating in these other relationships. So it's not as though, like, I don't know, we were together because we vibrated. If they were lame, I was lame too. Okay, so but I'm not like that no more. Okay, I'm not like that no more. I don't choose to spend my time with haters, you know, and I don't tolerate disrespect. I don't participate in arguments with people. I don't argue anymore. Like, that's something I stopped doing. I stopped arguing because I was like, okay, you know what, if you don't want to have a civil discussion, then you weren't looking to have your mind changed anyways. Peace be with you. Goodbye. And I'm done with that conversation, never to revisit it again, unless it's like when I'm alone and then when I ruminate. But okay, I was gonna add lashes though. Let me see if it would look good with lashes. Oh, also 144 on the clock. That's my angel number for earth angels, for, you know, just kind-hearted souls, people who are sensitive and have been scarred by this earth, and you don't want to lose that thing that made you so special and unique as a child, that helped you connect with other people around you, but simultaneously made you stick out like a sore thumb. You know what? I'll grab different lashes that are less, you know? Oh, I was gonna say something about what wasn't working for me. Oh yeah, so during the time where I was balls deep in the spiritual nonsense of twin flames, I'm sorry, when I was thinking that like to be like twin flames was my truth, I did everything. I manifested. I like had rituals, like maybe like I did a full moon ritual. I would journal about him and like journal a life I wanted to have with him. Like, I was doing a lot in terms of like trying to manifest him, and like literally nothing worked, because the issue wasn't like, you know, my technique or me, because I was open-hearted with this individual. And I did my best to convince him I was worthy of his love by just showing up and being there and being a caring and kind person that I am. But that was never going to be good enough, because he wasn't looking for love. Only I was. And he knew. He knew, because I'm an open book. I'm easy to read. I don't hide my intentions. I'm like honest and upfront with people. So I expect people to be honest and upfront with me. And what I've realized in my 22 years of living is people ain't shit. Oh my god. Peace and love. Niggas ain't shit. I'll be the first to tell you. Like, they're not worth it. They're not worth your time. They're not worth your effort. I mean, like, okay, I'm not trying to sound rude. Here I go again. Backtracking. But what I'm saying is, most of the time, you know, bless other people's hearts. I love humanity. Like, that's who I am at the end of the day. But I'm being real. Like, the relationships I was in, these people were not worth my time and effort. Like, because they didn't even give me half of it back. Like, they didn't want to. Like, they wanted to take as much as I give them, and I kept giving, thinking that maybe they want to do more than just take from me, but they never did. They never broke out of that cycle. They weren't able to appreciate or cherish me the way that I deserved, and I was allowing the connections to go on for so long because I didn't realize I deserved better. Because I wasn't getting better from them, okay? And I was hoping that one day someone would teach me that, you know, directly, like telling me, you deserve more than this, Abisha. Like, you deserve love. Like, no, people didn't fucking do that. I had to be the one to do that for myself. I had to be the one to tell myself, like, oh, as much as I like this person, they're giving me weird vibes, and they're not, I'm starting to feel like my boundaries are being violated. I think I need to tell this person no. Like, I think I need to back away from this connection and give it some time. It doesn't mean you have to like block immediately, but sometimes in some connections where I feel like I'm particularly unbalanced, blocking is just what's best for me. But anyway, I don't know if I finished explaining the example I was showing with the how to avoid falling in love with a jerk, like from that book. Long story short, but the author of the story, or the author of the book, was explaining that his best guess as to why the dude like broke up with the girl the day he moved into her apartment, it was this man had an illusion, the same way that the girl had an illusion of love. She felt like a partner was meant to complete her and do all these things for her that she couldn't do for herself, but she's more than capable of doing it for herself. Long story short, right? Like, you know, she wanted someone who loved her more than she loved herself. In exchange, she'd do the same for them. And in this unhealthy dynamic, he fed off of it. Like, his ego fed off of the fact that she loved him so much and that she saw him as the perfect man, basically. But once they got into their very first argument, the illusion of this perfect love for him, because I guess this man thought that love was something that's supposed to be like perfect, broke. And he realized, oh, you actually have to put effort into these things. And he broke up with her the same day and moved out. So, moral of the story, if it comes in fast, it's not gonna last. If it takes time, then it's worth your time. Okay, like, moral of the story, moral of the fucking story, is we built a relationship within like 2 to 3 days. So I guess naturally it fell apart in that time, and I just couldn't cope because I couldn't understand how he said all those things and then didn't mean a single word, until I understood, like, for him, he was never about true love. And I think what kept me stuck on that connection was the lack of love I have for myself. So we have patterns. I think I want to conclude because I'm almost done with my makeup look now. I was just gonna look for lashes, and then I had a lippy, and then I think that was it because I did everything else. So I decided that I wasn't gonna do lashes. They just don't, I don't feel like it. I feel like the look doesn't really need lashes. Because I kept everything like a neutral warm tone. It kind of looks like, I mean, I guess if you wouldn't know I did that much makeup, I suppose. So this is my lippy combo. It's my absolute favorite. And if you have like tan skin or dark skin, this is just rich skin. This is just going to be a good combination for you most likely as well. And if you also have, you may even know this, honestly, because I'm not the first to discover it. I just freaking love this lip combination of like this is an eyebrow pencil, by the way. Eyebrow pencil or like liner works best for dark skin. Like, if you're gonna line your lips, consider using these products. Patterns. I had a pattern. I developed these patterns since I was a kid. I had this pattern of like wanting more from people, right? And having to break some unhealthy habits, and also having to acknowledge the fact that I deserve healthy love. And that was really hard for me because I didn't have anybody telling me other than my therapist that I deserved it. I mean, I did have my friends, right? But I was looking for my mom to tell me those things. I was looking for my dad to tell me those things. I was looking for the people that hurt me to be the ones to heal me. And they never were. You know why? Because I'm the one who has to heal myself. After all the rain comes the shine of a beautiful day. So I always love to use like a lighter color, like lipstick, and then I gloss it all up. This is one of my favorite lip glosses. I hope that the lippy will show through this. Okay. Remove the excess. And now we just gotta and get our fit ready. Ooh. Ooh, just sweet Jesus. That shit got my eyes. So I just want to say, I don't judge people based on the patterns they developed during their early childhood, because that would be the same thing as me judging people for having trauma. No. However, patterns are meant to be broken if they're not ones that you like. You don't like that you keep dating the narcissist type. You gotta ask yourself, why do you keep attracting and keeping the narcissist type? Because that's what I had to ask myself. And if you're really curious about how I brought myself through this journey, then consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. It would be appreciated. But no, for real, like, stick around my channel, because I will show you the ways. I'm not one to keep secrets. Unless they're other people's secrets, then I will definitely keep those. But you know, I want to improve this world. I want to make this world a better place. And when I realized that it starts with me, nobody else. So I'll be right back. Moral of the story is, hi everyone, this is me now that I've finished getting ready. Don't I look so fucking tantalizing? I know, darling. Okay, but moral of the story is, it's sometimes puzzling to figure out how you got in a situation where you fell in love with someone who didn't love you back when you were so sure it was reciprocal. And the thing is, it was real up here. It was real up here. When I look back on it, the reason why I survived my childhood was because I was in here a lot, in my brain. And I would explain things away, and I would make perfect sense of this imperfect world. But the thing is, what it was up here isn't quite out here. And so that's where the discrepancies happen. And though, you know, I assigned a role. I wanted this person to be my twin flame. I was trying to manifest it. There was even a couple of times where I very verbally said to any of my guides that were listening, like, I want this man and nothing else. You know, I've done that. I've said that. I've tried manifesting, and literally nothing works. Literally nothing works. And, you know, if you're in a similar position, don't worry. There's hope for you, because even though I was trapped for a while, I'm back, vibrant and more beautiful than ever. You know what I mean? Like, every bad bitch has her story. Every bad bitch cried like a sad bitch and then like came back. And while I was like getting ready, I thought of this song and I wanted to link it. It's called Self Love by Queen Naija. I think that's how you say her name, Naija. But yeah, it's also in the description. I guys want you to listen to it because it's kind of like therapeutic. And I feel like it also explains how we enter these dynamics. Thing is, you know, whether it was caused by your upbringing or you just fell out of tune with yourself, the road back to who you are is always going to be available. And sometimes we have to take that road and it disguises itself as another person, but really it's just you finding your way back to who you are. And it's a beautiful process. As painful as it can be, it's beautiful in its own way. I've metamorphosed, shed more skin than I feel like I've ever in my whole life, literally metaphorically, because like I exfoliate now and oh my god, I'm the softest bitch around. Like do you even see, like, just ooh, so soft. Anyway, oof, I'm getting off topic and I feel like the video is good enough to conclude. I feel like I've said everything. I've talked about my journey, meeting this person, like how we met. I talked about how, you know, I felt the whole time, and how many times I've tried to reconcile with this individual, and each time it nothing changes. Like I always wanted change from him because I wanted things to work out. And I wanted to marry him. Like I was, you guys, like it was bad. Like I was, like if he told me he wanted to get married that day, like I would have. And thank God I never did dodge the bullet. But you know, it was a learning lesson at the end of the day, and I wanted it to be more than that, but at the end it wasn't. And I fell into this trap because I found a community who were also in a similar trap. This twin flame phenomena. I mean, look, I'm not gonna discard or discredit, you know, every person's experience with this title. I'm sure some people might have had different experiences, but it's usually always a mask for an unhealthy relationship, because the truth of the matter is, if he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to, he would. Think about the last time you dated someone that you didn't like. Think about the last time you were like, oh, this guy, this person, they just confessed to me. Apparently they like me. Should I date him? Should I not? And then you guys got married and you were just like, the whole time you're like, I'm not really sure if I like this person. I'm not really sure if I want to be with this person. Like, I just think about it. Like, when was the last time you did that shit? Like, I haven't. Like, I haven't dated someone because I didn't like them. I have, you know what I mean? Like, so that leads me to this conclusion that if he wanted to, he would. If he really wanted to, he would, because I made myself very available. And look at me. Who the fuck wouldn't want me? So that's what's crazy too. Like, I don't get it, but okay. Like, you just you pick yourself back up, you brush off the fucking crusty, and then you just carry on with your merry day and life keeps going. That's what's crazy too. Like, I was listening to all these songs that were like, how come the world didn't end when he broke my heart? Because the world wasn't gonna do me dirty like that. Because the world wasn't gonna do me dirty like that. Like, I'm crying about a man who I'm pretty sure doesn't wipe his own ass. Like, look at that. Like, when I think about it, like when I think about how I was just so delusional. Like, it's kind of funny now, you know, and a hee hee ha ha, like, anyway. You know, into all those people, I really have this is a safe space for you, for all those people, all the girlies who fell in love with a man who just unfortunately couldn't love you back, and you were making all these excuses for why, and you wanted it to happen so hard that you found yourself a community of people who thought the same thing, and you all follow the same, YouTubers who report on the same content, but nothing changes in your actual relationship, even though there should be progress, even though you might have blocked him for the amount of time you felt like was necessary. Like, surely by now you guys would be together. Surely by now he would want you enough to actually be, like, that's what's crazy. Like, girl, we're living in the 21st century. Okay, 1. Okay, 21st century. We're living in an era where AI is like an amazing phenomena that human beings have created. We're living in an era where we have like houses. We live in houses, and this man can't text you back. I'm sorry. Like, the proof is right there. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's uncomfortable, but just brace with me. If he wanted to, he would. And that's what I had to realize too, right? Like, I deserve to go back to the rest of my life. Like, if this man cannot commit to me, so be it. No hard feelings. He just wasn't the one. Okay, he was one of many fish I catched, and unfortunately he wasn't the one for me. So we release and we move on. And you do that by acknowledging the fact that, like, hey, you know what, there was a lot of holes in the beginning that I was ignoring because of the chemical reactions that were going on in my brain, because I thought this man was the love of my life. Okay, apparently the love is blind thing is real, right? Like, we are literally like walking around here blind as fuck to this person's flaws, their inconsistencies, their toxic traits, their toxic patterns. Because this guy liked to argue, and I didn't realize that until this was like so stupid. I cringe when I think about it, but just like one time we were like together, right? And I peeped this shit. I caught this because, like, I'm just very in tune, okay, with my surroundings. I kind of like had to growing up, but now like I'm a pro. I can pick up subtleties and the littlest of things. This is also how I read tarot, okay. You know, so we were like looking at the stars, and this man was like, which one do you think is the Orion's belt? And like, he was also wondering if we could even see the Orion's belt from where oh yeah, I'm bringing up that fucking conversation. He's like looking up and he's like, which one do you think it is? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's that one. He's like, are you sure? Like, that's a dumb answer. Like, or he said something like that. Like, he like was like trying to debate with me. That's the main thing. Like, I don't remember the exact phrasing. I won't be real. Like, I don't remember the exact phrasing. All I remember is like he was trying to argue back and forth which constellation he thought. But then every time I pointed out one, he was like, that couldn't be it. That's like, do you have a brain? And I'm like, you don't even know which one it is either. I was just like, I don't know. Anyways, long story short, I'm a grown-ass woman. I ain't got time for this. Go find a little girl to argue with. Like, anyway. So, long story short, and that's my soulmate? Girl, hell not. Nope. Like, and I tried everything. I tried manifesting, journaling, communication, didn't work. None of it worked. For whatever the reason, he just didn't want me like that. Like, he wanted me, like, he still wanted to sleep with me. He still wanted to be in contact with me. He just didn't want to commit. And I kept falling into his trap because I thought surely, like, there was, I don't know, I thought there was something I could do to fix him, but like, I can't fix something that I didn't break personally. Like, it's not my responsibility either. And also, you know, keep in mind, he didn't want it. Like, I don't know, it was just like at the end of the day, it's just, bad people exist, and this one was meant to teach me who the fuck not to be, and how to not be that. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. This was a very long-winded story to say that person I thought I was cursed to be in like a relationship with, because at some point I realized, like, oh, this is no blessing, this is a curse, this is a demon. Not to mention, every motherfucking time I pulled cards, he would always somehow manifest as the devil card. Like, wow, like, that's his archetype, that's his fucking his Pokemon, his fucking Pikachu. We got 11:11 on the clock. Anyway, like, I choose you, devil. Like, what the fuck? Like, anyway, it's just like all that to say, like, you guys, I'm literally perfect. I'm pretty sure like my soulmate is gonna be someone, when you catch me, God is just waiting waiting to give me that man, because that was second. I have him, I'll be wrapped around this fucking arm, and you'll be disgusted. You'll be disgusted with how much in love we are. Okay, we have two not only beautiful fucking human beings, but like from the inside out, like two high vibrational souls together. The world couldn't fucking handle us. Like, we're gonna shift things, the paradigms are gonna be different. Like, I'm telling you, the world's gonna fucking change when I meet this fucking man. And so such a monumentalist. What? This is where speaking 3 languages bites me in the ass. But even if I just spoke the one like the rest of you, I'd still be stuttering. So anyways, you know, the second I find the love of my life, y'all wouldn't even, like, the world is gonna change. And so it's gonna take time before I meet that guy, and that's all right, you know. Or I don't know who I'm gonna fall in love with, whoever that individual ends up being. But the moment we find each other, the moment our union occurs, we will know peace on this earth, let me tell you that. So yeah, I think that's it. Thanks.